there's this attempt to break the people's support for the resistance. This is what the Zionists aiming to do. This is the whole Dahiya doctrine, as you'll know very well, which is about targeting infrastructure, killing civilians, maximum damage in order to break that relationship between the people and the resistance. But what the Zionists fail to understand is the people are the resistance. That's it. It's not just the people that are fighting on the front line. It's not just the military operatives. You can see here, as you said, 4,000 or 5,000 people, thousands upon thousands of people have turned out today for the funerals.
Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV, and we are in Tamnin al-Tahta village in the Beqaa Valley, just around 25 minutes outside Baalbek city. We're here because last night the Zionist Air Force and the Zionist Navy conducted multiple attacks in the area, and in those attacks we know now there is 12 martyrs and around 40 injured. Of those martyred, there is one foreign worker, she is a Ethiopian, and two Syrian doormen for buildings that were attacked. We're gonna visit those sites and we're gonna talk more about them. And today we have with us Steve Sweeney, the RT Russia Today international journalist from the ground here in Lebanon. Steve, thank you one more time for coming to this visit with us. This attack clearly targeting civilian infrastructures, the buildings that we're going to go to in the other villages, totally wiped out. What can we know about the details of this attack?
Well, we know that the attacks that took place on Friday night, they took place, timing is everything, as they say. And they took place during Iftar, the holy month of Ramadan, as people were breaking their fast. And significantly, this was on a Friday. So this is when families are coming together, they're celebrating the breaking of their fast. But instead of a joyous occasion, it turned into a massacre, and that's the only way we can describe it. This is the first Friday of Ramadan, so it's a very, very important day. The strikes we know took place without warning. This building that we're standing in front of now, we know was attacked from the air. So the other buildings where the majority of people were killed were attacked by sea, but this was an airstrike. Now, we've spoken to some of the people in the local area, and they explained, look, you can see this is a 3-story building. The top floor has collapsed in entirely. The people that live on the second 2 floors, very fortunately, they had been invited to Iftar events elsewhere with family. I think there were some people in one of the buildings, so the casualty rate could have been a lot higher. We know that this strike took place without warning, so the IDF, the IOF, often issues evacuation orders when they're carrying out such strikes, but on this occasion they didn't, and they've attacked, as you can see all around. This is a civilian area, a rural area, I think we could call it. As you said,
there's a lot of grapevines and fruit orchids around between the houses, so it's a half village, half agricultural land.
And the munition they use is obviously incredibly powerful. You can see the damage is very widespread. It seems like a gas cylinder may have exploded as well, causing even more damage, but what they used was obviously incredibly powerful. I believe you spoke to somebody about the potential missile that was used in this strike.
Yeah, there was a GBU, that's the smaller size of the GBU that clearly, if they used a bigger kind that they've used in the other locations that we're going to go to, this whole building would be gone. 2 civilians martyred, 4 injured here slightly, and as you mentioned, one of the families on one of these floors was out for Ramadan breaking the fast dinner invitation. The other half of the family was out, but the grandfather, who's wheelchair ridden, was inside there. He's injured. Some of the family members that stayed with him are injured, but luckily they were all slight injuries. What can we, contextualize this attack in, looking at what's happening on an international scene? How do we contextualize this attack?
Well, the obvious, I guess, in terms of the context is the renewed or the intensification of the United States threats to Iran. Now, of course, Iran has understandably said that if Iran comes under attack, then it's going to attack not only US bases like al-Udeid. I think it said that is its priority, that it will strike if Iranian soil is struck, but also Israel, of course. And one of the reasons put forward for the delay in the strike on Iran is that Israel hasn't the capacity to defend itself in the light of an Iranian attack. As we saw during the 12-day war, it came under heavy and intense bombardment, but it doesn't really have the capacity to deal with that so much now. So this kind of delay is almost buying time. But I think that we can say, actually, as we discussed earlier, that this is a warning to say, look, we can, you may think that our military capability is diminished, but we can strike you from the air and we can strike you from sea, and we can strike you at will. One thing that I think is worth mentioning is that this is a slight aside, but this was a massacre. We know that 12 people have been martyred in these strikes, yet it took till Saturday morning for the Lebanese president to issue any kind of response. Now, I've seen the response to it, and it's essentially a copy and paste from every kind of strike that's happened
over the last 2 years. Yeah.
There's nothing, nothing specific to what happened here, other than condemning the strikes and calling on the international community to do more. So, this is if you speak to locals and speak to people on the ground, this isn't good enough. When there was a building that collapsed in Tripoli a week or so ago, 13 people, I believe, were killed in that building collapse. The Prime Minister now, Salam, rushed to the site. He made a number of promises and stood by the people. But when it happens in the south, or when it happens in Beqaa, the state is nowhere to be seen. And I think that's something that people really feel in this part of the country, this abandonment by the state.
We are with Mahdi, who is a resident of this neighborhood. He's also a student of engineering. Mahdi, alhamdulillah as-salami.
Allah yassalama.
You were here when the attack happened?
Yes, we were eating in Ramadan. When the explode happened, there was many children in the whole town.
In the whole neighborhood?
Yes. And they was so scared. The Israel terrorism want us to be scared and make them do what they want to do. But we said for them that if they destroy everything and kill whoever they kill, we will never surrender.
ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده المصطفى ورسوله المجتبى أرسله بدين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره.
So we can see at the funeral for the martyrs, we're in the middle of Baalbek right now, city, and we can count probably 4,000 or 5,000 people that showed up within this 8 hours since the martyrdom of the locals. What do you, when you analyze this, looking at what the Zionists are doing since the ceasefire, daily targeting of civilians in their homes, in their cars. Last week, a bus driver for school was assassinated out of his home. And the response of the locals, how do you evaluate the efforts of the Zionists and the way that the locals are responding?
Yeah. Well, what we've seen over the past year, I guess, since the ceasefire came into effect, is these piecemeal strikes by the Zionists. They'll target an individual home, they'll make an incursion, they'll carry out a detonation, they'll carry out these targeted drone strikes, these drone assassinations. And then what we've seen last night was the massacre here in Beqaa. And what they're trying to do, I think, is a number of things. In the south, they're trying to make the land uninhabitable. They're trying to create the conditions where the people can't or won't return to their land. But in places like in Beqaa here, which suffered greatly during the war, there's this attempt to break the people's support for the resistance. This is what the Zionists aiming to do. This is the whole Dahiya doctrine, as you'll know very well, which is about targeting infrastructure, killing civilians, maximum damage in order to break that relationship between the people and the resistance. But what the Zionists fail to understand is the people are the resistance. That's it. It's not just the people that are fighting on the front line. It's not just the military operatives. You can see here, as you said, 4,000 or 5,000 people, thousands upon thousands of people have turned out today for the funerals of the people that were martyred in the Israeli strike. What I will say is that the people are unbreakable. Their support for the resistance, their support for Hezbollah is utterly unbreakable. And in fact, if anything, the Zionist attacks and their continued bombings, their continued assassinations, if it's doing anything, it's actually strengthening the people's resolve. It's strengthening their bond and support for the resistance. So this Zionist strategy, whatever it is, it certainly isn't working in the way that they want it to.
Clearly, also, the events of the last 2 years, the ongoing genocide in Gaza that hasn't been deterred even with the cessation of quote-unquote resistance on the ground, and or what we see right now with the Epstein files showing us that you could be literally meat jerky. Your children would be meat jerky if you're under the rule of the Zionists. Somehow this crowds here in Lebanon have decided that they rather die dignified and stand for their liberty and protection of their children and women than surrender to the Zionists or be afraid of their bombings. There's even worse fate than being killed by a Zionist drone or missile. You could be in the Epstein Island and raped and made into jerky food. We're gonna go right now to another one of the locations of the attacks. May God rest the souls of the martyrs in heaven.
Glory to the martyrs.
Traveled around 15 minutes from the center of Baalbek city to this village, Wadnail. It's one of the villages that were targeted last night. And as we see everything around us, all the other buildings have been damaged.
Yeah.
And this is the main site of the attack. It was a 3-story villa, gone completely.
Yeah. So this was one of the sites that was targeted by sea, as I understand. So as you can see, the scale of the destruction around, the damage to the buildings, this was a very powerful munition that was used to take out this 3-story building. Now, as we understand, there were 2 people that were killed here.
Those are the non-Lebanese.
Yeah, 2 non-Lebanese people were killed.
Yes, a Syrian doorman for one of these buildings, and a domestic worker from Ethiopia. And this is above and beyond the at least, I think, 4 Lebanese martyrs that are here. So
there were 6 people killed in this particular strike in total. And as you know, driving in, and we're just to the right of us here is a very busy main road. This is a road that is full of shops, of people's houses, of restaurants, this kind of thing. So this is a very busy and lively area. So this strike taking place when it did would have caused shockwaves through the whole community. But also this is, again, we have to underline that this took place during Iftar, the first Friday of Ramadan. So this was a time when people are coming together as a family, maybe for the first time in these kind of big, very large gatherings. So I don't think there's any kind of accident or coincidence about the timing of this strike. This was designed not just to kill the people that it killed, but it's designed to cause this kind of sense of fear and panic. And again, striking during the holy month of Ramadan. Israel has a history of these kind of patterns. And
Ramadan massacres.
Ramadan massacres and the like. So this isn't the first time we've seen it, but
So right now, of course, the big question maybe the audience has is why would the Zionists use a corvette missile destroyer to fire on this location in the middle of the
these are expensive pieces of military hardware.
Why would they use
missiles.
it if they have already jets and drones flying over Lebanon freely? And the other location we saw earlier was targeted by a missile from a jet. Why did they use today, last night, this missile from a ship?
Well, this is the big question, of course, and I think we've almost answered that. This is very much a warning. This is a show of strength, or Israel trying to display a show of strength in the face of the situation in Iran. As we previously discussed, I think this is Israel saying, look, we have the military capability to strike Lebanon at will, and we will use all the most powerful munitions that we have to do it. For what?
Maybe some analysts are saying because the Zionists know they're going to be busy attacking Iran with their air power, their jets and their drones, if there is a full-out war with Iran, and that this is a warning to the resistance in Lebanon that if they decide to engage the Zionist colony during this war with Iran, if and when it happens, that you know what, if the jets are busy, there's ships that are going to bomb you.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrorism. Wow. Right now there's also an American aircraft carrier that just crossed the Gibraltar. We have this window of 10 days that Emperor Trump gave to Iran. You are going, inshallah, to Iran, and inshallah you will be safe. Is this the reason that you're trying to right now to get to Iran, to possibility of war, that somebody needs to be there?
Well, I think that's the reason that I'm going there. We always joke and say if Steve Sweeney arrives in your country, it's not good news. But that's the reason that we're going there. Is this the regional tensions, the situation that seems to be escalating, the strikes that could take place at any time. We don't know really with Donald Trump. He's so erratic. At one minute you think that things are settling down a bit and that the attack on Iran may be off, but then we've seen this mobilization, the Armada, as Trump calls it, the biggest military build-up in that particular region since 2003 and the invasion of Iraq. So anything could happen, but we're going to be there on the ground to cover what does happen and bring the latest news and developments from that particular region. But what happens in Iran, I think, isn't it's not about the strikes from the United States. It's about what happens after that, and I think that's how we can explain what happened on Friday night, because as we know, Hezbollah and the resistance have vowed to join if Iran is attacked, that they will join the fight back. So.
Definitely the whole axis of resistance components, Yemen, Iraq, Hezbollah here will be engaged. There's one more location, we're not going to go to it. It's in Riyaq village. It's going to take us a while. The sun will be down by that time. But it's also another 3-story building that was leveled from a missile fire from this warship. And in total, 12 martyrs last night, 40 somewhat injured between those 3 locations that were attacked. Steve Sweeney, thank you very much for coming with us down on the field here. I encourage everybody to follow him on X @SweeneySteve. He will be in Iran in the next few days. Inshallah, he'll get there safely, and the whole team comes back safely with Ali also. We wish you best of luck. But this is one of the only ways I think that people are going to be able to follow up on the ground what's happening in Iran. Of course, you can watch the documentaries that we produced as Free Palestine TV from Iran over the last week. Go to our websites, subscribe on as many platforms as you can, especially that, as you saw with the hack that happened to us less than 2 weeks ago. Alhamdulillah, we got all our content back on all our channels. I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform. Go to our website, freepalestine.video, donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Behind the camera is Hadi Hotait, I'm Laith Marouf, and we wish you a free Palestine and a world free of Zionism and imperialism.